We are back from a 2-week hiatus, I think it was.
Think so.
Welcome to the League of Legends podcast. It's an interesting week this time. Got some playoffs starting and some good matchups coming up.
Yeah, we do. We had our last week, and boy, that came down to the wire. I don't think I've ever seen a league so competitive as what we had last week.
Yeah, we were all really in there, all of us.
I was really hoping we were gonna. I was really hoping we were gonna have a podcast last week just to go over that, and unfortunately, we couldn't make it work. But we were bailed out by Adam with his
Yes.
detailed analysis of all the potential options that could have happened.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And my misunderstanding of the tiebreakers for playoffs too, so I had to do it again.
It doesn't.
Tragedy.
It doesn't help that our crappy commissioner doesn't even know that. So.
Well, it's funny because I was reading it and I texted AJ. I'm like, "Hey, did you see this?" And he's like, "I don't see my name anywhere on there." And I'm like, "I apologize for that," but it was cool to see the different scenarios and stuff like that, and how crazy it could get if certain teams won and certain teams didn't.
Yeah, it was. What ended up playing out was one of the simpler scenarios, right? We didn't have anybody tied for anything, so
Yeah, that would have been incredible if they did. I always root for the tie.
Yeah, and one of the things I kind of want to talk about is how Anthony made the playoffs this
Yeah,
year.
he totally turned it around. I thought
When-
that he was out.
Anthony, you're on like a 4-game winning streak?
Well, I just had a lot of luck. Some people made some bad moves in some of their lineups, and I got lucky with some of mine, and I snuck in just barely.
And that's all you need to do. And then it's a whole new ball game now. Records don't matter anymore. Just keep winning.
Well, we'll see. I'm still limping in pretty bad, and I'm going up against Donnie, so he's got a really good team this week. I don't think I've got much shot, but we'll see. Like you said, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Chip, you were looking pretty good halfway through the season. What do you think happened?
Wow, a lot of things happened with my team. I don't know. I feel like I've lost the last 4 or 5 weeks in a row. I mean, the last time that I was doing somewhat okay was, I think, the Adam game, where I just snuck by and I was very lucky, and that was kind of the first sign of bad things to come. It's going to go wrong. I mean, I've had just looking over my team, I don't know how many, 5 quarterbacks at this point that I've tried playing for points. And that's one thing that went wrong was Dak. And then the other thing is, you pick it, whoever the big name player is, Derrick Henry or, Julio Jones or you name it, and they have just completely bombed to the point where, I'm looking at my team going, I just need somebody to do something. It's been like that for 4 weeks now, where if I could just get anything, just an average score out of my players, maybe I'd have some semblance of a play. But it's been miserable, just absolutely miserable. So I don't know. That's my analysis of my team. Is just they have just stopped producing.
Are you still happy with all the trades you made through this year?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you have to be happy with your roster, right? Like as a player, you have to be okay putting in the players feeling like you're in some control over who's on your team. And if the draft doesn't do that for you, like it never does for me, then I have to constantly be going after players that I'll feel comfortable playing. Like I'm not going to play a guy that I can't stand or that I'm constantly sort of looking at the feed going, this guy again. I can't do that. I have to constantly be shuffling it. So at the end of the season, wherever I shake out, if it's 7th or 12th, it'll be one of those. I'm okay with it because I was okay at one point in the season. I got to a point, and it was on one of these podcasts where I was excited about what might be. And before all those trades, I wasn't looking at a roster that I was happy with. So yeah, absolutely. That's how I play it.
Yeah, it's really interesting how people evolve their rosters throughout the season, and you were one of the more dramatic. Don't take this the wrong way. You were one of the more dramatic ways of changing it by constantly trading and switching things around and like that. And I respect it. I gotta say that. We'll see what happens next year. Again, you said it all comes down to the draft. I think you're right about that. Luckily for me, I had a pretty decent draft where I only had to switch out a few of my players. The one big problem was Ezekiel Elliott this year, especially the second half of the season. He's kind of bombed to the point where he's not even he's not like a top 2 running back on my team anymore. I've been getting consistent points out of Gallman from the Giants, and then this week I put in Mostert because he's back. Elliott was my first round keeper, and
Feel free to drop
honestly,
him.
I think he's undroppable.
Oh.
It's or at least said at the beginning of the year. But it's painful when that happens, when your first round keeper, a first round pick doesn't pan out. And then when a receiver that's been leading your team like Will Fuller, when he starts using PEDs and gets suspended for that after he drops 35 points on Thanksgiving, that can also get a little saddening. But I'm feeling good going to the playoffs. Logan Thomas, my tight end, I feel like that's a position where everyone has a lot of problems all year unless you get like a top 2 or 3 guy. Tight end, I think I found a guy on Logan Thomas who's going to get those volume targets and get touchdowns in the red zone. So I'm feeling great about going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and
Yeah, Logan Thomas is an interesting one. You like all season you listen to the fantasy podcasts and people were poo-pooing on Thomas, and he just he kept performing week in week out. You know, nothing flashy, but consistent points.
Yeah, and like I think I had Giasecki or whatever from the Dolphins for a while, and he's just been putting up like 4 points, 2 points. I'm like, that's not going to cut it come playoff time. If Logan Thomas can be that big target in the end zone or downfield, because Alex Smith is actually playing really, really well right now. He's actually, I don't know who has him or if he's available. He's a pickup that could really help out a team. And that Redskins team could make a playoff push, and they're actually kind of dangerous right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just going back to the question you had asked me, just to sort of encapsulate it, that the trades that I made, if you actually look at the players that I traded away, they have produced for other teams. So I think it has sort of shooken out to be kind of an even trade. Maybe at the time it looked one-sided one way or the other, but Adam had Gibson go off, which I was happy with because I knew he was a ticking time bomb. That's why Adam wanted him. That he's going to go off at some point. I had a couple of games that Julio produced for me, and then he just flatlined. But that's the way it goes. And then there are other players that do the same thing. So I think the trading aspect of it is really risky. But like I said, I want to be able to look at my roster and go, I like these players, and I know that they can they can produce for me. I don't like I'm comfortable with 12 points and I'll just stick with that type mindset. I want a guy who could pop for 30, if that makes sense. So I'm constantly after those guys that could go off with the recognition that they can have bad games. And if I have enough players that do that, it's just going to be really miserable. And that's kind of what I hit, was that kind of rut.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, the other side of that coin with the trades is the guys that just hit that waiver wire hard. And I think Adam, every time there's a player I'm looking for, I go, I should take a look. I should pick that guy up. Oh wait, he's already on someone's team. It's not just
I had
there's
to
a
hit it
few
really hard this year because my draft was so awful. So yeah, stuff was funny. Stuff was finally starting to fall into place. The last couple weeks, Deshaun Watson was finally playing like I was expecting him to from week 1. Gibson was blowing up, and then I ran into a situation where Gibson goes down with horrible turf toe on like the 4th snap of the game, and I lose by a point. That was
tough.
That was a tough one. I was really salty about that for like a couple of minutes, and then I thought about it, and I was like, well, so I don't think, especially since with Gibson being hurt now, I don't think this roster was going to get there. So it may be better for me in the long run to have a bye in the toilet bowl, and that way I have if I can get that first pick next year, that would make my draft a whole lot easier than picking last and then making bad decisions with my last picks like I did this year. So
It's such a tough spot to pick from, you know. It really is. I think we talked about it before, but you have to reach almost every pick.
Especially for running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I learned anything from this year, it's how valuable like a good running back is, because there's not that many of them.
I'm kind of disappointed that you learned that.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
and
I
I
needed
see.
them all. I needed all of my running backs this year, and I probably should have drafted 2 more.
I was lucky and got some quality wide receivers late, like Justin Jefferson. I traded, I believe it was Rager Bombs, and I gave up a 10th round pick for Justin Jefferson, and now I have 2 17-round picks and Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson's probably going to be a keeper of mine for next year, because
Yeah,
that means a stud.
I think that might be the trade of the season.
Yeah, I wanted Jefferson in the draft really bad, and I saw him get him, and I'm like, well, I guess the next best thing is CD Lamb. And then we see how things have panned out with the Cowboys, how no one on that team's really producing at all. Except I don't even know how their kicker's doing, but I guess Greg the Leg Zerline is pretty good, I guess. Not as good as Young Hoku.
I was just
But-
going to say, he's no young Hoku.
Didn't he
but-
miss 3 kicks this week?
Did he really?
Yeah,
I
he
don't
missed
know.
3 kicks.
I refuse to watch the Cowboys.
He,
on
he
America's
actually
team,
was-
man.
Yeah, he's
Who
unemployed now.
decided that?
But anyway, yeah, I think that was a great trade for me, and I was fine giving up a 10th round pick because I was probably going to draft a garbage wide receiver in the 10th round anyway. So I'll take Jefferson. He's one of those guys that I was very much looking forward to at the beginning of the draft.
Yeah, I look at like, and Adam brings up a really good point about, do you limp into the playoffs or do you try to go for that toilet bowl? Because it's not the first pick, Adam. You get to pick your draft spot next year if you win.
That might be
We
better.
haven't done this
Yeah, but in this league, that's got to be the first pick, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
probably. Well, you know, it probably depends on who's available because, yeah, you get the best guy there, but then you're doing kind of what you did, where you're basically pigeonholed at the end of a round again.
yeah, but you're pigeonholed, but you're coming at it from a perspective of you're starting with. I would be starting with essentially, I don't know whether it would be McCaffrey and Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson would be my team. And then, okay, so if I have to reach after that, then I reach after that. But
And hope to God you
That's a
got
much
Mike Davis
better-
at some point.
yeah, I mean, it's I would much rather be in that situation. Even like I don't think I would ever consider like the 3rd or 4th pick just because I would want to be in the middle. In this league, especially, so many of the top guys get kept, so there may only be one guy that's really a top 5 caliber pick
Sure.
who's even available. So
Yeah, I think it's I see your point. I think it probably depends on who's available, and we usually know that before you would have to make that pick.
Right.
Let me just.
Elliott will be available this year. I can't keep him again. So Zeke will be
Oh.
up there with the new Dallas offense. Hopefully everyone's healthy there. But yeah, I mean,
So-
who's
Hoku will be up there, I'm sure.
So if just
Did I
to
keep
give you an
him?
idea of who was out there, if you would have got the
Yeah.
4th pick, you'd have had Derrick Henry this year. He's
And you wouldn't
arguably-
want him. So,
Huh?
Chip.
What was that?
and you wouldn't want him. So,
What are you talking about? He's like, isn't he? He's got to be top 3 running back.
He's a very home
Yeah,
run
the
hitter.
top
actually,
rusher in the league. But
Yeah, I
that
mean,
might
you know.
that might actually be true. It's just for fantasy, at least the last 5 weeks, it's been a desert. So, I'm not sure.
Hold on. I got 11 points total from my 2 running backs the past 2 weeks. So, yeah,
Let me
come
see how I
cry to
got
me
it.
about a
It's not
desert.
more than that.
Well, if you think about the first pick last year
got-
or this year,
he's got like 40-point potential.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
true,
he-
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Barkley was your first pick this year, and
And he got
went
injured.
down week 2, week 3. It was pretty early.
It was very early.
So there's positives and negatives, right? I mean, you get the home run, like Adam's saying. You know, you're getting the best player out there. But
Mhm.
if he gets hurt, that's a lot of value to lose. So it's just, it depends on how you build your team.
Are we
Yeah,
allowed to
and-
trade picks?
I-
Like if I get a 3rd round pick, can I trade my 3rd round pick to somebody?
You can trade picks. I have
Okay.
I have 2 17th rounds next year and no 10th round.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
But,
I'm
I mean-
looking to sell keepers. So if people after the
Mm.
season's over, if people want to want to look at trades
Yeah,
that
no.
way, I'm definitely going to be in the market for trading roster for picks.
And I think in Yahoo the rosters are going to be locked after the season. I think that's how it works. But we can still do trades through Facebook. People can post on there, and
Agree to it on principle. Yeah.
yeah, and no, and like, well, the beauty is I'm the commish. So
Pending
you
the
tell me
physical.
you guys have this trade, I'll put it up on Facebook. You guys have 2 or 3 days to veto it, and we go from there. So we can make these trades in the off season, and that's something probably for a later podcast, maybe at the end of the season. I'd like to talk to people about is do we want to do maybe a second league where we do a dynasty league? I got Ben and I have been talking about that a lot, and we're definitely interested in getting one going next year. We're just I want to get some to see if people are interested and how we set it up. I don't want to get rid of this league if there's people that don't want to go to a dynasty league, so we got to figure out how we're going to do it. But
I have one more suggestion for next year.
Okay.
I would like some stakes on the line. So if we could either last place gets a punishment or first place, like we all chip in like $5
like
and
that.
first place gets like the pot. I think some stakes would be a good addition to this league.
We could do that.
I don't know if you guys want to do last place punishment or first place win something or both.
Well, we did have a pink fantasy football loser T-shirt that's floating around the office that Hori won a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. I think his neighbor has.
Do you
it.
guys
We
know
can ask for it
the story of the league? They had this on ESPN a few years ago. The league where and it's been going for 10 or 20 years now. The loser of the league has to get a tattoo, and it is the winner's choice what the tattoo is.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
boy,
Anthony, that's all you.
not interested. Not interested. No tattoos.
They showed this one guy who's lost like 6 years in a row, and his back is just covered with all these awful
I have to be quit by now.
Oh, because I mean, once you're invested, you want to get your payback. So then you got to come back next year. Next year is always going to be your year until it's 5 years in a row, and you're.
Yeah, ask a Lions fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say as a Lions fan.
I say
What
no
was I gonna-
punishment because I'm very clearly in last place, and I will very clearly come in last
No,
place.
not for this year. I mean for
No,
the
we
next.
can always go for this year.
We
You're
can-
gonna get a face tat.
A face. I have a instead of a tear, it's a football.
All right. So, a couple other things I want to talk about real quick. Drew Brees will probably not be back this week. Just a heads up for anyone who has Saints offensive players there. Taysom Hill will most likely be getting the start again, and then Jalen Hurts is starting for the Eagles, against the Saints. So take that as you will. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is a move this week. I don't know if he's been picked up yet or not.
He's not available.
Okay. But I'm just saying, Saints defense, that could be a very big game for them, or it could be a bad one. Who knows?
I picked up Hurts last week.
Okay. Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting aspect. And then I have one more thing. I don't know.
I also picked up Rager in case I do make it to the next round of the playoffs. So I hopefully can beat Ben with Rager. I can beat
That would be
Rager Bombs with Jalen Rager.
that would be incredible.
That would be amazing. But I think that's also assuming, aren't I playing Rager Bombs?
I'm not assuming anything. I know what's going to happen.
You think I'm going to lose?
I'm the commish. Anything that I say.
You're going to rig the game so I lose against Rager Bombs?
All your players got benched just before the game.
I think I am 2-0 against him, though, this year. So
No, I think we've got two teams. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's funny. I think the past 2 or 3 years, the team that came just limped into the playoffs won the Super Bowl. So,
Anthony, you trying to manifest something?
No, I'm not trying to manifest anything. Although last year I was the 6th team. It comes out when it comes down to the playoffs. So we've talked about it before. During the season, it's all about consistency, and during the playoffs, it's all about upside.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll just have to see. So I do I was looking at the I'm not trying to change the subject on you here, Jordan.
No, you're good.
I was looking at the consolation bracket, so the toilet bowl. And most years, you look at it and you're like, I'm not excited about this. Like, there's 4 garbage teams and you got 1 or 2 that have a shot. And like, I don't really feel like there's any team that doesn't have a shot at this. You know, there's definitely teams that I'm like, oh, that they've got a better shot, but I feel like any of those teams could legitimately pull this off.
Yeah.
Maybe not get in Jack, but other than that, every
You know who I'm
Jeremy.
rooting for is
Sorry.
Jeremy.
What?
I want Jeremy to win the toilet bowl. Because I think it can happen, actually. I think your team can go off, and it's
I-
possible. Anything
think
at
this
this
week.
point.
I appreciate the positivity, Chip, but I just let me die.
Busted
Stop
Lip
beating
is
this dead horse.
definitely underrated. Busted Lip being 9th place doesn't make any sense. I mean, earlier in the season, Busted Lip was looking really tough. So if they, they're slated for 130 points. If they do that, it's going to be real hard to beat. My team consistently looks to Yahoo like they're going to score 135 points and never does. So if they score 130 consistently, it's over for us in the toilet bowl. I mean, that's going to be real hard to match. So
Yeah, I
When you
mean, you score 100, you score over 120, you're looking pretty good in this league. That's my general rule. So if you get up to like 130, 135-ish, you should be winning games.
and you look at projections, there's 3 teams in the toilet bowl right now, or in the consolation bracket, that are projected to get 130 points or more.
Wow.
There's 1 team in the playoffs.
right.
So, again, projections don't mean anything, but it just goes to show you how much parity there was in the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we had our entire division was within 1 game of each other in the last week of the season, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
it was,
there was a
that was
chance.
tough, though.
Actually, there was a chance had Jorge lost to you, he wouldn't have made the playoffs.
Yes,
Wow.
that's true.
I mean, it would have been, a
Right.
stretch. But we also had the chance that we could have
Well,
had
I was
3.
telling Anthony. Yeah, I was telling Anthony. I think 2 weeks ago, had I won 2 weeks ago, and it was close, and I thought the math would have worked out where I would have been ranked 2nd in the league 2 weeks ago. So just because of the division, so I would have been able to. I think that's how it would have worked out. So the fact that 2 weeks later I'm 10th, that speaks. I was telling Anthony, that speaks to how competitive and how close this whole league was.
Yeah, I was
It's
one
insane.
point, and I would have had the 2nd seed.
And,
Wow.
yeah, 1 point, and not only that, you're just out.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that
This
like
is
as
after
a,
I lost to Anthony in week 8 by half a point, and yeah.
just the way the fantasy football crumbles.
Everything
it's
was
a
really
game of
close.
inches,
That's a new
gentlemen.
idiom,
A
George.
game of inches.
It is. It is. So should we dive
And
into the
also-
matchups after this? After Chip, your point?
Yep. Before we go to that, it's a game of inches, yes. But what's been pretty amazing to me, and something that I've never thought of for the 7 years that I've done fantasy football, is that it's a game of tight ends.
It
This a
is.
position that I do not care about one iota. And this year it has stymied me. I have traded for a tight end. I've switched in and out of tight end. The teams that have a tight end that is in that upper echelon are doing well, and they're banking on it. They're winning on it.
This
It's
has
one of
been a
those positions
historically
that's
bad
like
year for
running
tight
back.
ends.
Yep.
I think Logan Thomas saved my season, to be honest with you. Because
Even-
good.
Even Kittle, like, you have a top guy, and then he's hurt for the last 5 weeks or whatever it is. So like, even having a top tight end, the guys are all
Look at
the only
Ertz.
guy is Kelsey, right? Kelsey's
Yeah.
the only guy that's been on the field and elite like the whole season. It's
Yeah.
one guy, and then everybody else you're trying to sneak out 10 points basically.
Yeah, the guy who drafted Ertz probably wanted to slit his wrist after week 3. And yeah, like you said, Kittle's been out most of the season on injuries.
Even Mark Andrews for the Ravens has missed some time, and he's usually a big part of that offense too.
Yep. Ben's been frustrated with Andrews all season.
Yeah, he's been an iffy one.
The whole
I'm
offense
lucky.
has been off.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah,
lucky that.
if your quarterback wasn't so
Thomas.
garbage, maybe they'd be fine.
Listen, I started Derek Carr last week. He scored me like 30-something points. It was the biggest brain move I've ever had.
Yeah.
I didn't need it, but like Derek Carr, I knew they're gonna have a bounce back game against the Jets. Then they throw a Hail Mary at like the last second to win. But
Hey, Adam, when are they going to fire your coach so the Lions can hire him and ruin his career?
The Harbaugh, you mean?
Yeah, we'll take
Lions are
Matt
going to hire his
Harbaugh.
brother.
We don't
It's
want
gonna
Jim.
be,
We don't want
we
Jim.
John. We want John.
I got news for you. You're getting the other one. Is what's
Well,
going to happen.
I don't know. Everyone around here seems to think we're getting that defensive coordinator for San Francisco.
He's a
I like
Dearborn
that.
native, so.
We'll see.
And then
One
yeah,
last thing I wanted to talk about real quick just before we, of course, I got out of the page. I was looking at the record book. I like to do that at the end of the year, just to kind of see like, was this year way different than years past? Was something crazy going on? And really, like Nick had 10 wins, and we think, wow, like how that's pretty amazing. In 2017, Nick had 13 wins.
wow.
So now I don't know if that might include playoffs.
That probably does include playoffs.
Probably.
So if that includes playoffs, then he would have had 11 wins in the regular season.
That's so awesome.
He was more dominant then. No, absolutely. I'm just saying. It wasn't like there was a team that was super dominant this year that we haven't seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Nick had a win streak of 7. Our biggest win streak ever was 2018 with the Big Lebowskis. Good job, Adam. That was 8. So I mean,
Wow.
it's pretty similar to what we've seen in the past. Losses. Jeremy had 11 this year, but in 2016, Jorge had 15 losses.
Does that mean he didn't win a game?
How do you have 15 Yeah.
Jorge did not win a game.
Oh.
Wow.
And I think I'm not sure how we got to 15 losses. We might have had a 14-game season. I don't know.
Lost 2 rounds to like two toilet bowl rounds or something like that.
That
like
could
they do
be
consolation. And
Yeah,
consolation. So you must have lost both of those too.
Yeah. What else? And then I did want to get into margins of victory. I don't really care about that too much. Strength of schedule. So here's one interesting thing. I've had about 5 people tell me that they have the hardest schedule in the league.
They're all
And I'm
liars except for me.
That's not meant to pick on anyone. I'm just telling you, I've had a lot of people like, oh, every time I play someone, they blow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy had an average score against him of 132.
I mean,
That is the highest all time for our league. Closest was Jorge in 2016 with his epic season that he lost every game. He had just under 132 at 131.9.
Hard to win when there's that many points against you.
tough.
So Jeremy, don't take that too hard. The cards were just stacked against you all season.
Yeah,
Big time.
I showed the screen for a second.
Just-
I'm 8-4 in my other, or I'm 8-5 in my other league, so I'm not this bad in every one. It's just this one. I got dealt a bad hand.
So
Yeah, I have the few. I think I was looking at. I have the fewest points against, but I also have three losses where I scored 120 or more.
Oh,
Wow.
So
Wow.
those numbers are all the numbers can be deceiving.
yeah.
Depending on how you tilt your head and look at them.
and then the only other thing, and I don't have, it doesn't keep the information from last year, so I'm going off memory, and I might be wrong. But playoff teams versus last year, I believe we only have 3 teams, and I believe half the teams in the playoffs are new this year and weren't in last year.
Wow.
Marine City Cubbies was not, Juices Loose was not, and I do not believe Jorge's team was in the playoffs.
I was in the playoffs last year.
You were?
Yeah, I
It
came
does-
like 3rd.
It does keep the playoffs.
Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
Should beat me.
Maybe Jorge was in it too then. So in that case, then it's just one team that's. So much for that point of parity. All right. Well, that's all I had. I just kind of wanted. I was looking through it a little bit, and I was like, okay, like with the wins, it's pretty typical what's going on. And then I just wanted to make sure Jeremy had a little call out for how tough of a season it's been for him against him.
I think I learned a lot. I think that like getting shit on week in, week out made me like pay more attention to it than I usually do and actually try and improve and learn things. And I think if I wasn't like if I was losing by a little bit, I felt like I would have done a lot less like looking into it and like I haven't necessarily tried super hard to restructure my team throughout the season just because like the amount of time I would have to put into it, especially like for not that much benefit. I want to start next season fresh and implement the things I've learned there. But yeah, I've having this like just dog season made me more into it than I think I would have if I was a middling team.
Yeah.
So yeah, you win some, you lose some, but I'm excited for next year, where I will get more wins. Now you heard it here first. I will get more wins next year. 3
Put it in the
wins
book.
at least, guaranteed.
It's on camera.
It's on camera, and I'm putting it on the.
Put it on the board. All right, George. Did you want to go over the matchups?
I can. I'm just checking something real quick. Yeah. So, all right.
He's got to call his agent,
So...
his guy, his insider.
yeah. Let me. According to my
Skip?
sources. No. So let's go through it. First, I'll start off with the consolation bracket. No pants and smarch. Adam, that's you, right? You have a bye for the first round. Next is Depression against Empire Strikes Back, and that's Chip against AJ. Currently, Chip is projected to win with 136 points to 108. That's a heck of a margin. I don't know if AJ set his lineup or if he's just given up by now. He did win last week, though, so good for him. Chip, do you have any thoughts on that matchup?
I mean, it looks like AJ's set actually, so it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't have anything to say because it's 70-30, and honestly, going through the last 4 weeks here, I've seen that story 4 times. So, yeah, anything can happen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
AJ's been dealing with quarterback problems all year. He had Carson Wentz and Cam Newton, and he rode out with those two. Don't know why.
The player I'm going to be watching in this matchup is Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
David
He can go off
Montgomery
for 40. Yeah.
David Montgomery blew up against the Lions last week, and the Packers could put 4 touchdowns on the board in the first quarter. And they may just run the ball the rest of the game. So they may put in the other 2 running backs also, but there's potential Aaron Jones could have a really big week this week.
I might have to start Williams, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Next, we got Bust the Lip against Get In Jack. Bust the Lip is supposed to win 130 to 100. Any thoughts, Jeremy?
I mean, I'm rolling the dice here. I'm really just rolling the dice. I'm hoping I get.
Jeremy's hoping for a Stafford special where he puts up 5 touchdowns so that Aaron Rodgers has to throw it.
I'm really hoping that like Aaron Rodgers just throws Hail Marys all game. That's all. Like I hope that they embarrass Detroit this week after Detroit embarrassed the Bears last week.
Something interesting about Aaron Rodgers this year, he hasn't been hit nearly as much as he has in years past. So he's in very healthy shape right now. So he's feeling good. And the Packers, honestly, are my pick to win the NFC, the whole things, and get to the Super Bowl. So Aaron Rodgers is playing phenomenally well, MVP type season. So we'll see how that goes for you. Then Lion Kool-Aiders have a bye as well. Now for the playoffs, the Refrigerator has a bye. They're the number 1 seed. Then it's Rager Bombs against the Juice is Loose, and we are within 0.2 points of our projected scores.
It's a 50-50 toss-up right now.
It really is. It's a coin flip. And Rager Bombs, I've beaten them twice throughout this year, but they're like they have Calvin Ridley, who can go off. They have Christian McCaffrey, Mark Andrews. Those guys can all go off for plenty of points. So it's not going to. A lot of injury questions.
McCaffrey's
so with my
doubtful, Jacobs, Elliott, both questionable.
McCaffrey may not play this week.
Here's the thing, though. He also has Davis for Carolina.
Yeah, I mean it's you're like 90% of McCaffrey with Davis.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough matchup. Hopefully, I win. I'm feeling pretty good. Might need to switch out Zeke Elliott, but he is playing against Cincinnati, who's not great.
He does have.
And then, like I said,
so I mean, he's got
What's
that
up?
going for him. He's got Blankenship, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah. Hot Rod.
Yep.
And like I said, Will Fuller is suspended, which pisses me off, but happens.
Oh, he just switched McCaffrey out. Like just now, Rager did.
He did.
Oh no,
Like
is
just
he-
now.
Is he listening?
Discord? People
He's
are
here.
spying on
And we're
us.
live streaming.
These are the walls.
Breaking news from the podcast.
That's funny.
Next matchup, Marine City Cubbies against number one bench. This is one of the more interesting ones for me because I feel like Anthony, a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have expected you to make the playoffs, but here we are. Anything can happen. So you got any thoughts on this one?
And there's a chance.
I'm saying there's definitely a chance for sure.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, he's clearly got the better team. I'm gonna need some luck, a lot of luck, and I just need Gronk to come back from a couple of years ago, and any 4 touchdowns from Gronk this week. That would be.
Tampa Bay, I feel
And
like, is trying to get him more involved.
If KC is going to start and then is going to start Edwards-Helaire and then not give him a snap, you might
That would be helpful
that'll
as
help
well.
your,
Yep.
that'll help your cause.
I would appreciate that if they can make that happen.
That was brutal.
Yeah, and then he has the Pittsburgh defense as well, going against Buffalo, and Josh Allen has a cannon for an arm and has played very well recently. So that defense might not put up the 5.8 points that's actually projected to. And then
Oh, I didn't realize that, Adam. You're right. He didn't get a snap.
No, he didn't get a snap.
What's
I
going
had him
on?
in my other league, and it was a good thing I didn't need him because he was dinged up during the week, and he was standing there the whole game. They never even put him in.
There was like no pass. Wasn't that was the game where Denver had to put running backs in as a quarterback, right?
No, that was the
No.
week before.
That was a
That was
funny
week
game,
before.
though.
Okay,
That was a good 2020
Yeah.
highlight, I think.
that was a weird game.
and
That
I'm
was like a
looking.
Tebow game with no Tebow.
Oh, I missed Tim Tebow. I'm looking at his backup running backs,
don't.
and J.K. Dobbins and David Johnson are there. So, Duke Johnson. I'm sorry. So it's not like he has all-star replacements. So that's gonna be interesting.
Well, I just need James Conner to just give me a starting running back's points. Like I haven't got anything out of the running back position for 3 weeks. So I could really use that this week. That would be great. Thanks.
Then the next matchup. Oh, that's it. Then my Ditka in the box has a bye. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really cool. I'm excited for it. Hopefully I win. Wishing you guys best of luck. I guess wishing you all the best of luck. You all,
You got it.
unless
They come one take Jordan.
Adam's the only one that isn't playing. That's what I was confused about. So yeah. Anything else, guys?
I don't have anything else. Except no, I don't have anything else. Never mind. I was gonna try and do a bit, but nothing came to mind. So that's it. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Some people have told me that they like it shorter, but if you've made it this far, stop watching when you get bored. We like raffling on, and I don't want to give us a hard out. I'd rather just let us flow until we don't have anything else. So with that, it seems we don't have anything else. Thank you guys for watching. Anybody else have any sign-offs? You want to shout anything out? Any pet projects? Anything you want anybody to check out?
May the worst team win.
May the worst team win.
Start thinking about keepers.
Yeah, start
My new
thinking about
dubstep
keepers.
album's gonna drop on the 23rd, so
Yep.
everybody
Nice.
check that out.
We'll put your
Nice.
SoundCloud link
Are
in
we gonna do a live
Facebook.
stream?
DJ Adam.
Yeah, I'll make sure we get that live on the podcast that week.
Nice.
So.
All right, look forward to that.
You-
Thank you guys very much for watching.
You guys.
See you later.